What's happening, YouTube? Jonathan Pariente, the Execution 10 here, coming at you guys with another video. I want to ask you guys to please continue to check and subscribe to my channel for more YouTube videos. And well, the stage is now set for the League Championship Series. The Division Series has now been concluded. The Houston Astros knocked off the Tampa Bay Rays in 5 games, winning 6-1, and they will play the Yankees in the next round for a trip to the World Series. Oh boy. And as a Yankees fan, as I'm wearing the shirt right now, there it is, I couldn't be more excited for this rematch in a lot of different ways, and I'm going to go into it right now. Well, 2 years ago, the Yankees and the Astros played probably one of the most exciting American League Championship Series in a very long time. It was the year Verlander was dealt to Houston during that season. Astros did go on to win the World Series. Both teams defended their home fields basically as you had expected they would. It unfortunately came down to the fact that Houston had the home field advantage in that series, and they will in this series. So, looking back at that from 2 years ago to the Houston team we see now, and it's a lot of the same core. A few different players, obviously. Garrett Cole was not there 2 years ago. Michael Brantley was not there 2 years ago. Roberto Osuna was not there 2 years ago. And I guess the way you have to look at this series from 2 years ago now is, yeah, Houston is a lot more dangerous with their pitching. Now they have 3 starters that can all go deep in games, including, I already mentioned Garrett Cole and Artie Verlander, and you have Zach Greinke. You have Osuna who can close games. They didn't have a closer 2 years ago. They have a much deeper lineup than they had 2 years ago. Adding Michael Brantley made that lineup a whole lot more powerful, and of course the emergence of the young rookie Yordan Alvarez has further deepened the Houston lineup. So, when you look at all that, and you look at the Yankees roster, which has definitely gone through changes, yes, they still have Tanaka. Yes, they still have Severino and CeCe and etc. But now you have Paxton on the crew. You didn't have him 2 years ago. The Yankees definitely deepened their bullpen from 2 years ago. They didn't have Zach Britton 2 years. No, they had Britton 2 years ago. I believe. Yeah, they didn't have Ottavino 2 years ago. There we go. They didn't have Ottavino 2 years ago. Betances, of course, they don't have this year because of an injury. But then you have, of course, you have Kahnle, you have Chapman, you have Green. You have most of the main pieces that were there 2 years ago. The exception, again, is of Betances and, of course, David Robertson. But the Yankees lineup is going to be a little more of a different matchup this time than it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago when the Yankees last played the Astros, they had Chase Headley. They had Todd Frazier, which was good. They didn't have Glaber yet. Glaber wasn't here yet 2 years ago. Giancarlo Stanton was not here 2 years ago. Cameron Maybin was not here 2 years ago. DJ LeMahieu was not here 2 years ago. Neither was Gio Urshela. So the Yankees have a very different team now than they did 2 years ago. And the Yankees may even get more good news on players returning from injury. All of a sudden now, Aaron Hicks has thrown his name into the mix that he might be able to return when it looked for sure like he was going to be out for the whole year and need Tommy John for a shoulder injury that he suffered earlier in the year. Hicks was limited to 59 games this year. Now, a lot of the debate has been kind of swirling around that Yanks have to really make some tough decisions on who to put on the roster for the ALCS. Not only is Hicks being considered, but so is CeCe Sabathia. Sabathia would make some sense, as the Yankees could use an extra left-handed arm, maybe to give him a couple innings out of the pen if need be. Would definitely make sense to put CeCe on the crew for that. In particular, I think it'd be nice because it's his last year, and he's not going to play after this season. So I think probably it would be best to kind of try to fit him in somewhere and see if he can, maybe contribute in some way. Having Hicks would make some sense too. I mean, Aaron Hicks is a great outfielder, great glove, definitely somebody you'd want to have maybe to be able to pinch to play in the outfield if you need to sit one of your guys down later in the game. Even though the Yanks have Cameron Maybin, who can do that for Stanton, you could do the same thing for Brett Gardner if you want to take him out of the outfield and put Hicks in there for a little speed. That makes a little sense. But again, tough decisions are weighing on the Yankees right now, and a lot of fair debate is the Yankees shouldn't mess with the chemistry they've already got. The Yankees put a solid lineup out there against Minnesota. They held their mighty lineup down to 7 runs. Their pitching was incredible. So, when you go into this series, if you're the Yankees now with Houston, there are definitely going to be some interesting decisions that will be made. The Yankees will play Houston, by the way, on Saturday. Game 1 of the ALCS will be Saturday at Minute Maid Park. Now, the Astros are going to go in with a little bit of a disadvantage here. Not that it's going to really, I don't think, hurt them a ton, but just to get rid of just to get the Rays out, the Astros had to use Verlander and Garrett Cole twice in the ALDS. Garrett Cole had to pitch Game 2 and Game 5, and Verlander pitched Game 1 and Game 4. Game 4 he pitched on 3 days rest. So that means Houston will not be able to start Verlander and Cole consecutively in Games 1 and 2. Garrett Cole definitely is out for Game 1. He will not play, for sure. He already just pitched today. So my guess is you'll probably see Greinke pitch Game 1, or maybe some other starter if Houston's going to have to throw one out there. And that would mean you might not see Cole and Verlander each twice in this series. You probably are only going to see one of them one time, if you're the Yankees. So that makes Game 1 probably the most important game of this entire ALCS if you're a Yankees fan. The Yankees have to, and I mean have to, win at least one game in Houston. And that's been an Achilles heel of the Yankees over the last 4 years. They have not been able to win a game in Minute Maid Park during the playoffs. It hurt them 2 years ago, losing all 4 games in Houston. In the regular season, at the same time, they have struggled to win in Houston. They struggled to score runs in Houston, period, and that's scary enough as it is. The Yankees went 3-4 against Houston this year. 3 of their wins all came at Yankee Stadium. Houston does not have a good record on the road. So if the Yankees are going to find a way to win this series, which I think they can. I know the Yankees do not have a pitching advantage. We know it. Everybody knows it. Houston's got the overwhelming advantage with their 3 starting pitchers. But you look at the Yankees and how they could match up here and how they can hold a mighty Astros lineup down, it's going to have to come from how well they use their pitching for this series. Period. It worked well against the Twins. I'm wondering if Boone will do the same thing with going to that bullpen and not hesitating to do so should things get a little out of hand early. And this is going to be a very different series if you're the Yankees. This is not a free-swinging Rays lineup. This is not a free-swinging lineup that the Twins were. This is the Astros. A team that doesn't strike out. A team that works at counts. A team that works at bats. A team that puts the ball in play. And there's no weak spots in this lineup. You're going to be dealing with Springer. You're going to be dealing with Altuve. You're going to be dealing with Bregman. You're going to be dealing with Alvarez. You're going to be dealing with Yuli Gurriel. And you're dealing with Michael Brantley, pretty much. So there you go. Pretty much not a weak spot in this lineup for Houston and for A.J. Hinch. So the Yankees are going to have to find whatever way possible to limit pitch counts against this Houston team. They're going to have to attack Houston early, and they're going to have to try to put them away early. You do not want to fall behind against any of Houston's big 3 starters. You fall behind, you play right into Houston's hands. The Rays may have found a chink in the armor when they got to Verlander. They found a little chink in the armor when they got to Greinke. They found a little chink in the armor when they got to the Houston bullpen. And that's where Houston's weakness lies. If you force their starters out of the game too soon, their bullpen is going to get lit up. Because like everything else, all teams and all great teams have a weakness. And Houston's is their bullpen. So if you are the Yankees, and if you can work at bats and be the savages in the box that Aaron Boone calls them, your chances of beating Houston will be high. But for any way, shape, or form, if the Yankees are going to win this series, they must take Game 1 in Houston. I can't stress it enough. Now, we don't know yet who will be the starters for this series. The Yankees, of course, have had about a week off since the division series, so they can really set up their rotation. And this is what gives the Yankees a good advantage. They can set up their rotation any way they want. My guess is they'll probably stay with Paxton, go for him in Game 1. Probably go with Tanaka Game 2, which would make sense. Or maybe they can even flip-flop it just a little bit. Maybe have Severino go Game 2 in Houston, and then have Tanaka pitch Game 3 at Yankee Stadium. That's a realistic possibility. I am very curious how the Yankees are going to tackle the starting pitching for this series with Houston. I am very curious how they're going to put all this together. This is definitely going to be a very exciting series. All the baseball world can see it. All the fans want to see it. I want to see it. And I finally want to see the Yankees defeat Houston. I'm sick of the Yankees losing to Houston every year. Houston has been the bane of the Yankees the last 5 years. They took out the Yankees in the wild card game, if we haven't forgotten that. Springer was still a young guy. Altuve was still up and coming. But Houston took out the Yanks in the wild card game at Yankee Stadium 4 years ago. I never forgot that game. And then, of course, the epic ALCS 2 years ago when the Yankees were stifled by Justin Verlander in 2 of the games. And then, of course, they felt the wrath of Charlie Morton and of Lance McCullers. So definitely the scars from that battle are still there, and the Yankees want to be finally able to get over that hump and beat Houston. Which I feel if they do, the Yankees might win the World Series. If they get by Houston, I think the Yankees will be able to take home the World Series this year. The Dodgers are out, so that big threat in that National League is gone. And now it's down to either the Cardinals or the Nationals to see who goes to the World Series in the National League Championship Series. And that should be a very exciting series, too. We're going to have 2 very, very spirited League Championship Series games. And we're definitely going to find out who will advance and go to the World Series out of those 2. But for the Yankees, the task is right in front of them now. This is probably going to be the hardest road that they will have to get to the World Series. They will have to get through 2 100-win teams this year. They already got through the Twins. Now Houston is going to be the biggest hurdle remaining for the Yankees. And I'm hoping maybe, if the Red Sox were able to do it, maybe the Yankees can as well. We're going to get that answer, and we're going to find out Saturday at 8 o'clock on October 12th. Yankees and Astros, Game 1 of the ALCS is 2 days away. Actually, tomorrow. Jonathan Pariente, the Execution 10, saying bye for now.